My name is Ron. I'm KCØQVT with BridgeCom Systems, and I'd like to also introduce to you Jeremiah, W9JAM. He's my wingman today. Digital radio is an awesome experience for a lot of new hams as well as old hams. Been licensed since 2003, amateur radio extra class, but the digital radio is available to all license classifications. And so let's get into it. So what is DMR? As you guys may know, DMR stands for Digital Mobile Radio. It was designed primarily for use in professional radio. Its purpose is to allow radios to more efficiently use limited commercial spectrum. This is done by using a TDMA technology to double the capacity of a 12.5 kilohertz channel. The commercial area had to, they were running out of space between 450 and 470 on UHF, and the metro areas were just they were out of spectrum. So this was a way to effectively double the usable spectrum. And they did this by time slicing 12.5 kilohertz. So the question then begins, well, why DMR and ham radio? Well, first of all, I've done this research for quite a while as working with the amateur radio folks, but I know for one thing, we want to be prepared. That's why we got into ham radio. We want to learn new skills, and to top it all off, we want to make more contacts. And so DMR has it all. For about 16 years, hams have been building worldwide networks that consist of FM repeaters and RF hotspots linked via the internet, and it's getting bigger by the day, I can assure you. Worldwide, there have been over 280,000 DMR IDs issued, and it's steadily growing at approximately 500 new hams a week. Sometimes it goes higher than that, I've seen. And the largest DMR network that's available to us as hams is called BrandMeister, and there are over 7,000 link repeaters and can be over 20,000 hotspots linked at one time. So where's all the activity? What you can do here, and this is kind of cool, you can go to this thing called the Hoseline, which is on BrandMeister, and you can see all the active QSOs taking place at one time. And this stream will slowly populate with calls that are active. And you don't need to have a radio to listen to this, but you can see the activity on the network. So how do you start using DMR as a ham? First of all, you need a amateur radio license, which I'm assuming most people here are. You need to go to radioid.net and register to take a free DMR ID. This is your telephone number, and it is a must. It is your ticket into the DMR world. And these folks get your registration pretty quick. You do have to prove that you're a ham, and they hold fast to that. In the past, there's been some wonkiness about that, but they want you to provide a copy of your license to just prove that you are a legitimate amateur radio person. And of course, you need a DMR radio and a hotspot, or be in proximity to a DMR FM repeater. And you also need a Windows-based computer to run a programming. Now, I've heard that there's a Mac available. I'm not sure on that. I don't have a Mac myself, so I don't know, but I've heard rumors that there's one out there. Just real quick, just going to go to radioid.net so you can see this is basically where the phone book is. And we're going to get into this. So let's get started. I am going to go over what you should have received and with your radio. So yeah, you get a couple of stickers. You get BridgeCom University. This is the paperwork for that. Owner's manual. So what you get is a video, of course, in the box. And there's your Anytone. It's got a nice protective covered. We'll take that off. Okay. And also, oh, by the way, I also want to mention you do get a speaker mic with your bundle that you order. Okay, it comes with the Bluetooth PTT button, wrist strap. There's your programming cable. Then you get this. This is your charging cable for your battery and your Bluetooth PTT button. Here's the little strap, the Velcro strap for the Bluetooth PTT button. There's your belt clip. You also get what's becoming a classic is the charging base. Now that we've got Type-C charging batteries, this might become obsolete at some point. So you get that. You also get the wall wart for for charging your battery. and you get the battery. Of course, this is a 31 milliamp hour battery. It's pretty beefy. Okay. We're going to open that up because we're going to definitely use that. We'll get that out of the way. And then, of course, the antenna. So that is what is included in the package. All right. So there's your radio. We'll go ahead and put the antenna on. Fasten the battery. Now, this radio came with a green button on the top, or a teal, I guess you'd call that. It's kind of hard to. Now, that's not necessarily guaranteed to make note of what the radio is. The one thing that you really want to know is, like, what model of radio do I have? So what you want to do, if that'll focus, is you want to look at the back of the radio and you want to see the model. That sticker is the tried and true way to know what radio you have. We've had some folks say, well, I got a blue button. Because early days, they indicated, well, the button indicates what model it is. Actually, what's the gold standard is the actual label on the back to tell what kind of radio it is. So just go ahead and fasten the battery. So it's real simple. Just pop it on there like that. Take it off like that. Okay. So we've gone through what's going on in the box. We're going to download the latest CPS firmware. So we want to download the 3.08. So I'm going to click this, and this opens up a new screen, and I'm going to save it to my downloads directory, and it's called that. So let's do this. Okay, so we want to install it now. Okay, so go to the place where the CPS was downloaded and double click to start the install process. And then, of course, we want to extract all. Okay, there's where I downloaded it. I'm going to left double click on that. Now I want to do an extract all. Extract the files to the directory, and I'm going to call it this, C /D878UV 3.08. So I'm going to put it in that directory as outlined here. So I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to type just that, C /D878 UD2 _ 3.08. So I'm going to go ahead and extract this. And of course, as you can see, there it is. This is the directory where all of the information as part of that download file is located. Okay, and the files are now on your machine. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to double click on the 878UB2 308 CPS to open the directory. And we're going to do that right here. Okay, now right click on the 878UB2 setup file and a pop-up will appear. We want to run as administrator, and this will start the installation process. Now, it's come to my attention that it's very important to run as an administrator, and I'm going to bring Jeremiah in real quick to explain why that's so important.
Okay, so one of the reasons you want to run it as an administrator is if you have to do a firmware update, or you're going to take and do the icon update, which we'll cover in a little bit. The firmware update program will pop up asking you for permission if you haven't installed the software as an administrator. So it just saves you from having to deal with extra pop-ups.
Okay, so I'm going to right-click on it as we talked about, and I'm going to run as an administrator. Now, you may not see this screen. Okay, you can. Okay, great. Okay, so this is a security feature of Windows. Just click More Info and then Run Anyway. So I'm going to click More Info and Run Anyway. So you're going to see this next, set up the language. I'm assuming everybody here is on English, so we're going to click OK. So you should see this default destination, and we're going to go ahead and install it to the program files, and we're going to click Next, and that will set it to this directory. Click Next, and we want to create a desktop. Click Next, And now we want to install the program. So now it's going through the installation process, registering the files, and we want to launch. So click that button there and finish. And that should install the CPS. So click, and the installation is complete. And likewise, you should see that. Okay, so we just installed 3.08 on your machine.
If I've got an earlier download, do I have to download in order or can I jump to 3.08? If you are on a 2.0 version, you got your radio when we were on the 2.0 firmware, you've got to go to 3.01 first, and then you can jump to 3.08 directly from there. The thing to remember is always download your code plug from your radio and save it before you do a firmware update, because when you do the MCU reset to initialize the firmware, it's going to erase everything on the radio, the contact list, your talk groups, your channels, everything. So save your code plug first. And if you're coming from a version before 3.06, when you open that file in 3.08, it is going to ask you a yes or no question when it opens the file about TXCC, or transmit color code equals receive color code. You want to click yes. Is there a way in the CPS to perform a search on the various lists? I'm assuming you mean the contact list. Scrolling through very long list to find the correct entry is tedious. I 100% agree. Unfortunately, there is not a way to search at this time. In the Ultra Code plug, the way that we have it set up, each talk group starts with TG for talk group, and then it goes in numerical order. So if you know the talk group number, you can actually search through the list for that talk group number, just scrolling down and take an educated guess where it should be, and then look through the lines. I do agree it is tedious, but there isn't a way to search for it at this time. I have sent that suggestion over to Anytone, but they haven't given me any feedback on if or when that'll actually get implemented. Difference between 304 and 308. Big difference is a lot of the features they tried to implement with the satellite have been fixed in 3.08, as well as you now have a split color code, meaning you have a transmit color code and a receive color code option. So I'm not sure why they implemented that specifically. I assume it maybe has something to do with new commercial systems, but that is something that they put in. Other than that, it's just bug fixes and tweaks and just a few, I guess you could say, improvements on the software as far as speed and reading and writing to the radio. I have noticed there is a tiny bit of a speed increase now. Is there a compelling reason to upgrade to 3.08 from 3.06? Yes. APRS, as well as several bug fixes since 3.06. They fixed the analog APRS in 3.08. That was one of the major bug fixes. And on the download page for the firmware on our website, you can actually see the changelog. Okay, just got my radio from Bridge. I'm with 3.06. Okay, so what happens when Anytone sends us the radios? They already have firmware on them. And unless we're doing a plug and play package, or loading the Ultra Code plug on because you paid for the programming, we do not do the firmware update because that would take too long to go through if there's a new firmware. So when, you're shipping hundreds of radios a week, it becomes a very tedious task, and we would be backlogged on just shipping radios if we did that with every radio. So that's why it doesn't have 3.08 on it, because that's what the radio shipped with from Anytone.